making Italian Christmas cookies, but these are keto versions, so don't freak out if you're Italian and I'm making this a little differently, because I am. So first we have 2 cups of almond flour, and we're gonna add 1/2 cup of coconut flour. And I'm also going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder to this. And I'm just going to whisk that together. So this is the dry ingredients minus the erythritol, which we're gonna add to the wet ingredients in a second. So just getting the dry ingredients together. Now we're going to do the wet ingredients, which first is going to be 1 tablespoon of butter and 1 tablespoon of cream cheese. And then we're going to add a 1/4 cup of granular erythritol. And you're going to cream that together. And so I like to keep the butter and the cream cheese a little colder than most people do, just because I want everything to stay cold while I bake them. In fact, once we roll the cookies, we're going to put it in the fridge for about 10 minutes before we actually bake them, just to get them really cold and so they don't fall flat in the oven. Because we're using almond flour and different ingredients than you normally would, it gets a little finicky, and so sometimes cookie dough and different doughs will fall flat. They don't rise very much because there's no yeast in it and there's no actual traditional flour in it. So we're going to cream the butter, erythritol, and the cream cheese until they kind of look like little pellets. Let me clean that off, because you can see it's already starting to look like that. And once it looks like that, then you can start adding the rest of the ingredients. But this is what I want it to look like. Next, I'm going to add the vanilla. This is 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And I'm gonna add the anise, which is a 1/4 teaspoon of the anise. And so if you're not familiar with anise, this is anise extract. Actually, sorry, that's 1 teaspoon of anise extract. And anise has a sort of licoricey flavor. If you ever had sambuca, it kind of smells like that and tastes like it as well, without the alcohol. And it just adds a nice flavor. If you know me, you know there's been some other recipes I've done with anise in them, and I really love the flavor of anise. I don't always like sambuca, but I love the flavor, especially star anise in a stew or something like that. It's amazing. So I'm also adding the egg. I'm just gonna crack it in there. So just mix that together. Again, it kind of looks like cottage cheese at this point, and it doesn't matter. Once we mix it with the dry ingredients, it'll mix in better, and it's okay if there's flecks of butter or cream cheese, because we're going to use our hands later and kind of knead it as like a dough. In here. Wet ingredients just as part of the step-by-step instructions, just because I like to give people options of what they look at. Some people just want to read the recipe, some people want to see the video like you're watching now, some people want the pictures, the step-by-step pictures. So I try and give a little bit of everything. Sometimes I forget to take the pictures though while I'm cooking something, and then sometimes I'll grab a still shot of the video, but it just doesn't look as good as when I take the actual pictures with my camera. So these will turn out kind of hard on the outside and kind of soft and cakey on the inside. So if you've ever made this before with just the regular Italian Christmas cookies, you'll know how good they are. We'll also add a little glaze on top and then some low carb sprinkles. Sugar-free sprinkles we're going to put on the top. If you don't have sprinkles, then you can always use regular sprinkles, maybe just a little bit, but watch the sugar in them. So once it looks like this, start using your hands. So now we want to get in there with our hands and knead it, and as you see, when you squish it with your hands, it'll turn into a doughy texture instead of the dry texture. So it may look really dry at this point, but just get in there and knead it with your hands and it'll all mix in well, and it'll get to a doughy consistency. And not like dough like you're making bread, but more of a doughy consistency to make cookies, like cookie dough. So this is when you get your hands a little dirty. Believe it or not, I've had people comment on some of my videos that they like seeing my clean hands in the video as well. Sometimes they're not so clean when I'm doing this. But I did wash them before I started, so that's important. So as you see, you basically want to try and get it into a ball like this with everything. Any dry stuff sticking around, you want to try and moisten it up, get it into the ball, knead it in there with your hands. There. So I'm going to knead it a little more, just like this. And then we're going to roll them into cookie dough balls. And then we're going to flatten them a little bit on the parchment lined baking sheet. So let's get the parchment lined baking sheet. Just tear and roll. And if it falls apart, it's okay. Just try and put it back together with your hands. You're squishing it. Perfect, right there. So we're gonna do probably, you want them to be around 1-inch balls. So I'm gonna do 3 across. Okay, we're back and we have all the cookie dough balls. Now we need to flatten them. So I have a glass. We're gonna use the bottom of the glass, but I'm gonna dip it in a little bit of powdered erythritol first so that it doesn't stick too much to the balls. So just a little dab and a little squish. You don't need to, they don't need to be flattened, just a little bit. So they'll come out more like a round, a dome shape. Don't worry about the sugar on top because we're gonna add a glaze on them and then the sprinkles. Okay, we're gonna go in the oven at 325. It's already preheated. You might hear it in the background here. And I'm gonna do for 6 minutes and see what they look like. And then if I need to add more time, I will, and I'll let you know. So we're gonna make the glaze for the Italian Christmas cookies. And so I'm gonna do a tablespoon of powdered erythritol in a bowl. And then I'm gonna do about a tablespoon of cream. Now this is 5% cream. But you can use heavy cream, milk, whatever you have on hand. Just make it easy on yourself. And let's mix it around. So this glaze is gonna be very thin. It's gonna be almost translucent on the cookie. I think it's more just for flavor. If it's not thick enough, then we can thicken it up. I'm gonna use something easier to stir that with. I want it a little thicker, so I'm going to add a little bit more of the powdered erythritol. Let's say I'm adding here a tablespoon already, and that's about a 1/4 teaspoon. A little bit more. Do another 1/4 teaspoon, so that'll be 1.5 tablespoon. That looks about right. So this is the consistency you want it. Like, it's gonna be pretty translucent. You're not really gonna see it. It's really just to get the sprinkles on top to stick. So let that sit for a while until the cookies are ready, and then we could spoon it over the cookies and then add the sprinkles. Okay, so the cookies came out of the oven. This is what they look like when they're done. I did do it at 325 for 12 minutes, actually. And so you can see they're still a little smushy, like cake, but the bottoms are brown, and that's what you want. So they may not look done. They're a little brown around the edges, but not too brown, and that's what you want. So right now, while they're hot, we're going to put the glaze on it. And so we're going to just 1 teaspoon over each cookie, not too much. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be like perfect all over it. It's just gonna be for us to put the sprinkles on it. So spoon it on top and then move it around with the back of the spoon just to get it around on the cookie so that the sprinkles will stick. And so they smell amazing. I can smell the anise, and it reminds me of home. And a matter of fact, I am going home to visit my mom, so I'm gonna bring her some of these because she's also diabetic, and I'm gonna see if she'll notice a difference in terms of taste, or I'm sure there'll be a little bit of a difference because it's not really the traditional Italian way. But so I'm using some sprinkles. These are Goodies sprinkles. In Canada, I got mine at Switch Grocery, and so just sprinkle a little bit on top. It doesn't have to be a lot. If you can get Christmas color sprinkles would be better, but this is what I had and this is what I'm using. That icing dries really fast. So I suggest ice and sprinkle. Don't wait. I may have to sort of re-ice them just to get more sprinkles to stick on, because the icing dried really fast. But anyways, you get the gist of it. So I would ice and sprinkle right away. Ice and sprinkle, or glaze and sprinkle, glaze and sprinkle, because it dries up really fast. So I'll fix them up a little bit, add a little more glaze, a little more of the sprinkles on it, and that'll be it. That's my Italian Christmas cookies. Happy holidays. These Italian Christmas cookies, so good. Look how cakey it is on the inside. That's how you want them. They're cookies, they're brown on the bottom. You taste the glaze, you taste the anise. I hate to say it, it's kind of like my mom's, if not better. Don't tell her I said that.